Now, this case study is about BBC. Okay. In this case study, why it is presented to you, the idea behind that is that for you to understand that just because all the check boxes are being ticked for a project in terms of budget, in terms of acceptance, in terms of timelines, in terms of brand value, in terms of usability, does not necessarily mean that the project is relevant or that the project is going to be successful. All right. Because if you just concentrate on the big picture, yes, as a project manager, you are expected to concentrate on the big picture, but not only on the big picture. If you concentrate only on the big picture, but not on the overall project, in that case, there is a very high probability that you will end up in a situation which will not be very pleasant. And the project might not be completed or it might get shelved out and out. All right. Now, what is this case study? You have heard about BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation, which was founded back in 1922. Big brand, big organization, stable organization, right? No problem with the organization as such. Sorry. Now, BBC is into television and radio content development, majorly into the news and entertainment segments, right? So, BBC develops a lot of content for news as well as radio channels. So, back in 2008, to achieve efficiency and management of all this content that they create, they thought of starting an initiative. They planned on starting an initiative essentially as a project. What was this initiative? This was the digital media initiative. Okay. And the approved cost or the budget for this particular initiative was 100 million pounds. Correct? So, good amount of budget. It is relevant. There is no fishy thing happening here. Right? Now, what was this initiative? It was supposed to be built as a desktop software application to enable the creation of videos and audios from raw materials. And it was awarded to Siemens. Now, Siemens also is a big enough organization. There is no two way about it that this organization has the potential and capability of executing a project like this. Right? They have the expertise and everything. And the estimated timeline was 18 months, and this was a fixed contract. Why this is specifically mentioned as a fixed contract? Because there are certain things which are associated with the type of contract that we are using in a project management. What are those type of contracts and why do we use them, or what is the logic behind them? We are going to take a look in our procurement management. All right. Now, even from a timeline perspective, it is not something which is trying to be which somebody is trying to rush through with. So the timeline is also decent. The scope is also decent, is also acceptable, is relevant with the business goal and objectives, as well as the budget which has been approved is also realistic and good enough. Right? Now let's see what happens. In 2009, that is within a year, the contract was terminated with Siemens. The internal IT team of BBC took over. And in May 2003, which is roughly around 5 years after this initiative was started, the project was abandoned. The project was shelved. And in all of this, the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, was sacked, was fired. And an inquiry was set up by PwC as to what went wrong with this project. On the periphery, nothing looks wrong, right? But there are finer details associated with this project, because of which the project was eventually shelved. First, as per the PwC findings, the company Siemens was awarded the contract without any tendering process. So BBC did not even take into consideration any other organization capable of managing this particular deliverable. Okay, there might or there could have been case that they would have got a third party vendor to complete this project at a lower cost, but it was not taken into consideration. There was no steering committee, or what we call as the steer co, short form for steering committee. There was no steer co, so there was no timely measure of the progress of the agreed goals. Nobody knew how much has been completed, what is remaining. So the transparency is not there. The objectified project progress reporting is not happening, and there is nobody from the leadership who is keeping a watch on what is going on with the project. The status reporting was also ad hoc. There was no fixed frequency, without any issues or dependencies being reported. So clearly, there are many loopholes that we are gradually seeing now. Moreover, there was no risk management plans put in place. So they would have just considered that we are not going to encounter any risk at all in a project, which is rare, though not impossible, but it is extremely rare to happen, right? Even if you can control all the other factors, nature is something that you cannot control. What if tomorrow there is an earthquake or a flood, right? So at least basically those risks should have been taken into consideration, but it was not taken. Then senior management, the senior leadership was not involved. There was no review happening from the senior management. So if you see from the iron triangle perspective, from the scope, budget, and schedule perspective, the project was absolutely fine from the outside. But from the inside, these small things created so much of a mess with the project that eventually the project could not be completed, even after such big names being involved. And it has to be eventually shelved. Right? So the reason behind this particular case study is for you to understand how to manage projects in a better way, plus why smaller, final details are equally important as are the broader aspects of a project management.